Good morning. Our hand today is going to be pocket fours. In this hand, it folds around to me on the button and I raise. Here's my open raising range. I'm not going to adjust it. I've got players that look to be tight. I've got a fold to steal of 100% so far, but it's 1 out of 1. So I'm just going to attack. Four's definitely good enough as partial value. If called, we could always hit trips, and then we'll probably get paid if any of the blinds hit anything. And we only get one call from the small blind. Small blind playing 17-4 over 23 hands. We don't have much on him, just a few hands. So I think a calling range looks something maybe like this. Definitely pocket pairs, definitely suited aces. Might not have all the suited connectors or some of these hands. We can assume he would have raised with like queens plus, ace queen, ace king types hands. Probably just call with 10s, jacks, 9s, but you know, we can always take notes on them. So we see a flop of jack 9 8, and that is actually really bad. I think generally speaking, calling ranges tend to include the middle cards. For the small blind, I mean, we can hit it too, but relatively speaking, we have a lot of cards that miss. Many more cards that miss than the small blind. So villain checks. I think this is a perfect time just to go check behind and do like a delayed c-bet. So if villain checks again on the turn on any card below an 8, we could probably bet again, or we could probably lead out and expect it to pick up the flop. I do think we're probably going to be doing this with most of our hands. Just because we have so many hands in our range. And it's probably going to be a little bit better for us to just kind of check behind. So I think if we have like open-ended straight draw, if we bet those, let's get this. Then we're probably betting, so we're probably betting the straight and the set. And probably most of the sets too. And then we're probably betting our gut shots. Gut shot, open-ended straight draw. That's probably a decent betting range. And then I think a checking range is going to be all the rest. So we're just going to do this. That's going to be our checking range. And then if he checks again, then we'll go for a c-bet. So, you know, normally we would be betting, you know, top pair plus for value. We'd be betting a lot of hands for value, but I think this board just isn't really good. I don't think we're going to win a whole lot if we bet with that range. We're going to be c-betting way too much. So toning it back, really only betting, you know, straights and sets, and then along with our open-ender, that is really, yeah, get that, yeah, king 10. Yeah, I think those are just going to be our betting range. So turn comes out to be a queen. I think we could bet this now. If he doesn't have a 10, we figure him to be folding. So now with our delayed c-bet, I do think he's probably going to be checking 100% of his range again. So now we should be attacking, and I think we're going to be attacking our straights. 2 pair, over pair, top pair. Question is, what's going to get called? I think we're betting all of those. Top pair is kind of for value. Obviously, if he doesn't believe that we have a 10, he's going to call with a 1 pair hand. So I think that's just going to be our betting range. That's what we should do. And I didn't. I checked. I think that was a mistake. I think we should be attacking here. Because if he has a hand like ace 6, you know, and ace comes, we're beat. But I don't think like ace 6 is going to call. So river's a 9. Villain checks again. Now that we've gone check, 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 I don't think villain's going to be betting. I think he would have bet with a full house. I think he probably would have bet with straight. I think 3 of a kind's probably checking here. So I think that's going to be his range. If I bet, what hands are going to call? If I bet, it's quite possibly he calls with this top pair hand. Top pair plus. That probably not queen jack. Yeah, I guess queen jack is top pair. I think he folds those. So we're looking at he's calling 20%. If we had bet and he calls, I think we could probably, well, we have to go back to the turn. If we bet, what does he call? He's probably calling top pair plus, probably has flush draw, open ender, something like that. And then the 9 of spades gets there. Yeah, and I bet and he calls. He's probably maybe top pair. That's 40%. So he calls 40%, folds 60%. No, that's more than that. Oh, yeah. Yeah, if we bet the turn and he calls, and I think we're going to need to connect. So let's go back to here. I assumed that he would be betting those. Probably call those. Yeah. I think I missed my shot betting the turn. If we bet the turn and get called, I'm not sure if we could bet again. As a bluff, I think we just take the showdown, hope he called with like some sort of draw and missed. Because I think the turn's going to really fold out the hands that we're looking to fold out. So we see a board, he shows ace 5. I didn't have ace 5 in his range. You know, you add all of those, it adds more of these weaker cards, but he also is going to be hitting at the 9, you know, jack, the 8s a little bit more. So let's take a note on this guy. So pre-flop, he call 3 big blind versus button steal in SB with ace of diamonds, 5 spades, out of position, check, check, check. All right. So this is really just letting us know that he's going to call blinds with the ace 5. And I didn't look closely at that. I would have included it if I had seen it in the notes, but I had noticed that he only had 23 hands. So if I have any notes on that, that's probably going to be this hand. So I didn't want to do that. So as I said, I think our check on the flop is okay. I think our C bet on the flop is going to be much stronger than what most people realize, just because we have so many hands in a range that are just cruddy. We've got too many hands that miss. But once it goes check again on the turn, I think that's when we make our C bet with a wider range than typical. I didn't do that, and I think that would have cost me money. So had I bet, I think he's probably going to fold. And even if he calls, he's calling this with basically 3 outs. Well, no, he's got 6 outs. He could catch a 5. So, you know, there's going to be a lot of cards that come that he's going to check again to me, and then we could check behind and just take the free showdown. We do have some showdown value. So now that we have this range, let's just confirm that that's what GTO says. All right. This took a while. So let's check it. Yep, villain's supposed to be checking 100%. We are checking 38% of the time. Fours are in there. Looks like I was checking a little too much. I think I would have expected my check to be more like 20%. I'm sorry, no, my bet to be about 20%, checking to be about 80%. They're betting with a lot more. So they have the straights and sets, but they're also doing two pair, over pair, top pair as well, pocket pair less than the top card. These low pairs, no. They tend to be checking, no made hand. You're betting draws, so it's going for the check. And then once we check and he checks again, now we're betting at a lower frequency. I guess the board gets worse. And we didn't really have a whole lot of draws in our hands, but that includes the fours. So these small pairs still a check. And villain checks again, and we still check. So like overall, based on the GTO, it looks like we played accordingly. But it does look like here we should be betting a lot more. So maybe this board is actually pretty decent for our range. Less likely to hit villain's hand here. So he checks, we bet. What is he calling with? He's calling about 50% of the time. He's folding 40%. Okay, so that kind of explains. We're getting some auto profit because he's folding 40% of the time. He's supposed to be folding all of those. So then if he calls, they checks. And then we're still betting about 50% of the time. We're betting straights. Bet, oh, three of a kinds are now checked. Two pairs are bets. Jacks are the checks. Mix. So we're definitely going mixed strategy here. Yeah. So, all right. GTO says, like the checks. Didn't realize it. I guess since we're checking with a low pair, but I would have been checking a lot more than what GTO suggests. So hopefully you enjoy this hand. If you do, look tomorrow for another one.